كثيرة. Welcome to the last day of the Surah of Tafseer of Surah Yasin here, SALAM Central Mosque in Sacramento. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you and bless you and accept your fasts, especially as we enter into these last 10 nights. We want to really focus on the Quran, connect to it. So inshallah you can take this tafsir and apply what you've learned and reflect on it in these last 10 nights inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the resurrection, he's talking about the claim from the disbelievers and from others that Allah cannot bring back to life the dead. And he says the one who created it the first time can do it again. The one who الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. The one who gives you and makes for you, creates for you from the green trees fire. فَإِذَا أَنْتُمْ مِنْهُ تُوقِدُونَ. And suddenly you're able to kindle with it and to ignite other things and take heat from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing that we can take these lush green trees full of life and water, and we can then ignite it and we can change its reality and bring heat from it. That which is cool, we can bring heat. So from whatever state one thing is, we can bring a different state from it. And even apparent opposites, right? From cold to heat, from darkness to light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is completely in control. And he can also, this is kind of, there's a lot of metaphors that can come from the idea, this ayah, and different understandings about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kind of igniting existence. That things are brought into existence from pure non-existence. And he brings them into ignition. He ignites them in a way that now they are living, now they're apparent, now they are visible. Just as fire brings light when in a dark forest, such does existence, right, bring light to non-existence. And this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showing us that change and all effect is from him, right? He is the one who brings about all cause and effect, and he creates everything directly. So the one who can bring fire from the trees can also bring you back to life. And this is something really interesting because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly challenging our understanding of cause and effect. That fire is not created by, and then the burning of fire is not created by fire. It's not necessary to fire. It's not something which is cannot change. That there are laws of science that cannot ever change. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he brings about the fire. He brings about the burning. And he can create fire without burning. And he can create trees that don't burn. He can create. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every cause and effect he brings about. And so something so apparent that when we light, some grass or trees on fire, we think that we're the one who ignites it. We think that we're the one, that the fire is the thing that's doing the burning, that it is this natural process. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who creates it directly. So he's basically immediately showing us and challenging our understanding of causation and our understanding of causal relationships. And the reason why it's important to break down those materialistic, naturalistic barriers that prevent us from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the true cause, the necessary being to every effect, is because the reason why he's doing this is because the understanding that cause and effect relationships are necessary, it actually removes God from the universe. It's a deistic understanding of the universe, which we don't hold. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he directly is involved with every single thing in the universe. And when he challenges us with it through this, it allows us now to see that Allah is in complete control. And Allah can do whatever he wants. So when we have this connection and aversion to certain things that we see in the Sharia because we're so connected to the normal way that things go and act, and and then the apparent cause and effect, those relationships, right? This prevents us from believing in miracles. It prevents us from believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change our situation, that He can rectify our hearts, that He can bring us from whatever we are and ignite us and bring us out of it and make us full of light, make us living, bring us into complete worship of Him, right? So, if you think that your heart cannot be fixed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have a big problem. And if you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot change your situation, that's another big problem. But it comes from this reliance on the physical world, the reliance on the apparent causes, these relationships that we perceive, and not the true cause, and not the one who brings about those causes, right? So this brings us back to the understanding that, and looking at how we understand causation, it's like it is an illusion. There is a scientist Ivan Pavlov, right? He conducted a series of experiments where he took dogs and he placed them. You must have heard this before. And he placed them in a laboratory and he gave them food. And whenever he gave them food, he would ring a bell. Now, he did this many times to the point that once he rang the bell and didn't bring the food. And you can guess what happened. The dogs began to salivate. So they had associated the ringing of the bell with the bringing of the food. And in the same way, when we see the causal relationships in the universe, when we do science and we do things, we are understanding the natural patterns and that Allah has created, right? But we're not actually understanding the true causal effects, because Allah is the only one who can bring about change. He is the only one who can create things, who can do anything. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is completely in control, because everything needs a necessary being, then all of these relationships that we see and that we rely on is in reality an illusion. They are just the causal, you could say habits and norms that Allah has set up that allows us to live life normally, so that there's no randomness. So you don't walk out of our house and then suddenly the sky explodes and then we start to float, right? There is a consistency in the universe, and that returns to the design that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the universe in, that allows us to live normally and then worship Him and see signs, right? But it does not mean that those are the necessary effects, that it cannot be changed, that it's not contingent. Everything returns to Allah. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم? Is not the one who created the heavens and the earth and its grandeur and magic and tremendousness able to create the likes of them, the likes of these lowly, simple human beings, right? Compared to the entire universe, these specks of dust in the universe, in the solar system. Bala, of course He is. وَهُوَ الْخَلَّاقُ الْعَلِيمُ. And He is the absolute creator, the most knowledgeable, the one who His knowledge influences His creation. That His creation is a manifestation of His knowledge. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His absolute knowledge, right, He creates everything. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything returns to Allah. Everything returns to Allah. From ourselves to our tables and our children, the universe, the heavens, the sun and the moon, everything is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ. Now, how does He bring about that creation? He says His affair is only such that whatever He wills something, He says, kun, be and it is. Be and it is. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't actually have to say kun for something to come into existence. So this is a metaphor to show the immediacy of His creation, that there is no delay in time, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't exist in time. It's not that He has a need that He now needs to figure out and deliberate and then bring it into existence. No, as soon as He wills something, it immediately occurs. Just as we can say kun, so simply, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates without a pause in time, without a before and after. And this is why every single creation is equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it's the heavens and the earth, the humans and the beetles, everything, right, is immediate. There is no delay. There is no, you could say, struggle or a toil in order to create the heavens in comparison to the human. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just says kun in between the kaf and the noon, right? That is creation, right? Um, Subhanallah. So kun, right? Be, and it is. For subhana, so glorious and how transcendent is the one who in his hands, in his possession is the kingdom, the sovereignty, the kingdom of everything. He owns and controls everything. We should see this. We should witness this. We should perceive this. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, and to him you will return. Subhanallah. So the connection here is when you see the universe, you believe in his messenger, you believe messengers, you believe in him subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you recognize through through the prophets that you will return to him, right? That we come from Allah completely, and to him we return, right? So the state of the Muslim is constantly realizing that he's in the control, the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that his life, his fate, everything is in Allah's control. He has no say in the matter. لَيْسَ لَكَ مِنَ الْأَمْرِ شَيْءٍ, and he is completely reliant on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when one realizes this, it doesn't cause them to worry. It doesn't cause them to panic and to stress. Rather, it gives them complete tranquility. It allows them to let go of all of their deliberations, of all of their worries. It allows them to realize that whatever Allah has willed, and the one who created us will sustain us. The one who is sustaining us will take care of us. And just as he brought us into existence, he will take us and take care of us throughout our existence before he returns us to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this cycle of life and this journey of knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and witnessing his signs is the essential message of Surah Yasin. And it is taking us through this journey of creation, through this journey of resurrection, through this journey of the signs and the previous nations who denied, and through paradise and hell, and through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenging his creation and them challenging him, and him defeating their challenges and showing them that everything returns to him, that we really build a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we gain a deeper understanding of him. This is why this surah is so important. It is essentially the entire existence, the human existence is summed up in the surah. The entire purpose of our existence is summed up in the surah. The entire aqidah and creed that Muslims believe is summed up in the surah, right? Everything can be returned to Surah Yasin, and this is why it's the heart of the Quran. This is why the scholars and the Prophet ﷺ and everyone gave it tremendous attention and care. They would read it after Fajr, they would read it after Dhuhr. It's something that everyone should memorize. It's of the power surahs. It's a surah that should be in the heart of every believer. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that whoever reads Surah Yasin, seeking through that recital the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will forgive their sins, and he will give them the reward of one who read the Quran 22 times. So with a pure intention, this surah is transformative, and we cannot possibly understand the benefits and the merits and what we're gaining from reading the surah in Ramadan, particularly with a sincere intention, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, right? That's the key. So bring that sincerity when you read the surah, and reflect on its meanings, right? And inshallah, the surah should always ground us in our connection to Allah, in our belief in Him, in our belief in His control, in our reliance on Him, in our faith in Him, in our love of Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an extremely personal surah, and it's a surah that, as we mentioned before, highlights aspects of the human existence that everyone shares in. And returns us to that simplicity, that no matter where we come from, no matter what our differences are, where we were born, at what time, no matter what it is, right? All of us return to Allah. All of us can understand and recognize these realities, and believe in them and admit them. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq and taysir, and to give us understanding and fahm and love and tasting of His mercy, to connect to the Quran this Ramadan, that it illuminates our heart, it illuminates our wisdom, our perception, our understanding, that it is a source of light, it is a source of peace, it is a source of protection for us in this world and the next. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.